Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Monday's show. Kevin Feige is destroying his MCU and Marvel Studios legacy. Marvel Studios was becoming the hugest studio in Hollywood. It had respect. It was making money. Now, this is not about Kevin Feige's sudden extremism. It's about the lackluster content he and Marvel Studios have been putting out recently. And we've heard reports from VFX artists being treated like dirt. Two of them having to rush to do perfect VFX, and it's not working. Kevin Feige's legacy could end up being of a tyrant not producing the content he used to do. And for Marvel fans, I feel really, really bad for you when you look at the state of She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and other things that he's done recently. The narrative of the actual content is absolutely embarrassing. And the irony is not lost on me while She-Hulk is explaining to Bruce Banner, aka Clever Hulk, why her keeping her temper is no big deal because she's been wolf whistled and catcalled, and that's why she can keep her calm. The way she finishes that dialogue, she shouts at Bruce. So she's proved she can't keep her calm. These people can't even write proper propaganda, and the irony isn't lost on me there. What we're looking at now with Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios and the MCU is mediocrity. It's not even about kind of the SJW stuff they're doing now. And it is the MCU. It's a well-named phase of the MCU. It's the MCU. And we all can see it. It's all blatant and they don't care. But they're losing money. Thor Love and Thunder is an embarrassing film. No one's celebrating that film. And how dare you cast who you cast as Hercules? Aren't you the ones who say the LGBTQ plus community should be played by LGBTQ plus members? But why is it okay for someone with Hollywood DNA to play a Greek fucking god? You hypocrites. Yeah, so your Hercules casting sums up your hypocrisy. And that casting is a great irony to me. And it's got Kevin Feige, Hollywood and Marvel Studios written all over it. Is there no Greek people who can play a Greek god? Maybe an Italian, maybe someone. But someone with Hollywood DNA, you just plucked him out and said, right, you passed the DNA test, you can play Hercules. There's no way he should be playing Hercules. It's ridiculous. So the MCU has gone from being the most successful franchise in the world to something that's deteriorating, dying a slow, painful death. And of course, the extremism is part of it. But it's the blatant lack of quality in its narrative and visually that is the problem. I believe the MCU is in huger problems than the DCEU, and I'll tell you very briefly why. Because Warner Brothers has now merged. David Zaslav is running it. He is going to appoint a president of DC Studios. I believe in David Zaslav, and I believe he's a no-nonsense guy, and he won't give up until DC and WB are successful. The irony is not lost on me that we've now got James Gunn over at DC, Alan Horn advising David Zaslav. Alan Horn is one of the pioneers who made Disney so successful, and, you know, it's all there. It's all pretty obvious what's going to happen. It wouldn't surprise me if Kevin Feige is the new president of DC Studios. So many times I've been called insane for making that statement. To me, it looks like he's purposely running down Marvel Studios because nobody as clever as how he seems could be doing this on purpose, surely. You know, employing VFX companies on the cheap, right? Because as the VFX artists have already told us, confidentially, they've said because Marvel is so big, they can dictate how much they pay. So the VFX companies can only give them 2 VFX artists And this is where the problem is, everyone. They're making Marvel Studios content, MCU content, on the fucking cheap. And what happens? It's depreciating. And it's all there to be seen. But the corrupt mainstream media won't come out and say it, although many of them, or some of them now, are actually kind of in guarded ways are starting to see what's going on. It's very interesting that we heard from one of the producers of Top Gun Maverick talking about saying that people are desperate for real movies, and that's why Top Gun Maverick was so successful. It's interesting, the biggest hits of this year, Top Gun Maverick, that have owned Marvel, that have, exposed Marvel for what it is, and exposing Disney animation was, of course, The Rise of Gru. The Minions movie. Great movie. It exposed the Buzz Lightyear movie, Lightyear. That was an SJW piece of crap, and basically The Rise of Gru was funny, entertaining, great animation. So Disney are losing money through their extremism and through their mediocrity. And I'll be honest with you, it makes me extremely happy. This is not something I'm making up. It's there for everyone to see. This industry's extremism is killing it. But there's a few members of this industry crawling out the woodwork now. And the talented people that the extreme left drove out are coming back to save this industry. The worm is turning, but Marvel Studios are being run by extremists. There's no way out for them. How long will this franchise last from? And let's see what happens when Kevin Feige becomes DC president and Victoria Alonso replaces him as Marvel Studios president. It's all going to happen, people, and when it does, you're going to think, that geezer with a YouTube channel that gets about 30 views, how did he know? I know, because you don't have to be you don't have to run a successful platform to be connected, to know very important people in the industry. After all, I did spend 6 months in Hollywood, so maybe people need to start listening to me. This has been Movies TV Mad with my Monday show. Please like, share, subscribe. I am Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. So I will see you on Tuesday's show. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.